Yo guys, welcome to The Last Lap. Don't forget to drop a lovely, juicy 5-star rating if you're watching on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Hope you enjoy, and let's get into it.
Alfa Romeo, prime example. They've kind of, we've all talked about McLaren in recent years, how they've gone from pretty much like that orange car when Fernando was in it with like no sponsors, Chandon, the only one I can remember. Yeah. And now they're just pepper sprayed with sponsors
all
everywhere.
Over the place, yeah.
And Alfa Romeo the same. They launched this morning, new Sauber, and there are sponsors for days, mate, on that car.
All over the gaff. They've done well. There's
good for them
everywhere. Yeah,
I'm sure the upcoming Audi partnerships probably helping as well.
Bolstered that. People want to get on board with that being attached to a big OEM like Audi coming in.
Because faith, for obvious reasons, I have more faith in Sauber than I do Williams right now. I think that goes without saying, right?
Yeah. In the here and the now, and in the future as well. Yeah, to be brutally honest. In terms
it's
of
one of those things it's going to take if you're struggling in terms of performance for that long. It does take a lot of time. You can't just get a new technical director and turn the team around.
No,
it's like you said, it's the human factor, and it's not just 2 or 3 people.
Did you watch the launch this morning though?
I didn't.
I didn't.
Oh no,
I didn't.
2 words.
Okay,
Jerry Springer. Another 2 words, Jeremy Kyle. It literally, the way they produced it, it felt like an episode of Jeremy Kyle / Jerry, because they have the crowd all clapping, and then Tom Clarkson's there, and it's got the slow camera pan into him. Honestly, and they were literally
he was about to do a DNA test.
Who's the father of this child?
Valtteri, I'm sorry.
The car does not have a mullet, therefore it's not yours, Valtteri.
Oh, and what a mullet it is, honestly. He's fully embraced his Australian identity.
I like him. I like him more and more every season. And it seems like now that he's outside of Mercedes, he
seems like we actually see him
just really express himself.
I didn't read the article, but I saw a headline that was referring actually explicitly to that. I think Valtteri's. I don't have any quotes, but saying about how since he's left Mercedes, he felt he'd become a bit of I think he said a bit of a robot, where he was kind of just so focused and not able to kind of express himself outside of the car, which is nice to see.
But they are, like, in terms of the way they present, they usually are fairly heavily PR trained in the way they do interviews.
This was funny though. It felt like an episode of Black Mirror. Like when I put it on, I was like, this is weird. Just the way that they've shot.
I need to go back and watch that.
The alpha reveal.
The alpha reveal. Yeah,
I'm gonna go watch it when I get home.
It's jokes, and obviously, especially where you got Andreas there, and you've got the what's his name? Who's the guy acting team principal? Can't remember his name. He's got three names. With their black turtlenecks coming in very sharp. Yeah. And I was like,
he was very gloom and doom. It was like you asked a question like, "How's it going?" And he's like, "It's not terrible." You know, it's like it's negative stuff, and it's like it was really gloom and I did catch a few minutes of it, and it was kind of gloom and doom, but then it's positive. I was like,
can't say it's disastrous yet.
Yeah. but I guess weird. When you've got the more sponsors you've got and the more high profile you get, I guess we see that with Red Bull, right? Yeah, you have to be more toe the line and be more kind of, you know, you can't inject quite as much. What's the word I'm looking for? Kind of spontaneity.
Oh, right, okay.
You know what I mean?
Nah, man.
You've got all these sponsors who don't want to upset any of them, so we have to be like very.
But they didn't really. I don't know. There wasn't very many questions. It was like general things like how's the car, and it was like setting the tone that it could be bad, but maybe we've worked hard enough and it could be good. I literally turned it on someone's stream and I saw it for like 2 minutes, and the dude was talking. I was like,
oh, and they leaked their own livery as well.
On the backdrop.
Yeah. You're watching the video, right?
They haven't revealed the car.
They haven't revealed the car. There's no official imagery anywhere, right? And then all of a sudden it cuts to like they're chatting, and you could just see on the screen in the background the render. And I'm like, on my stream, I was like, wait, they've just shown the car. And I just pause it, go back and like enlarge it, and you just see this pixelated version of the expanded in enhanced. Yeah. But I was like, what are you doing? I feel that must have been a mistake, surely. I don't know. That didn't seem very...
That's either a mistake or just terrible planning. I think
Arif was having the same issue on his stream as well.
That feels like bad planning. Yeah,
I watched his after.
That feels like bad planning rather than like, we did that by accident. They were just like, they just didn't think, we probably should.
It was an odd one. it was an odd one. I think Williams have had the best announcement.
Yeah.
I think the way it's gone down.
Yeah, that was straight and to the point, and like, but at the same time, I don't see anything wrong with if you're just doing a livery reveal.
Reveal the livery.
Put a picture on Twitter.
Yeah,
Give us the car.
that's why Williams did it well.
360
Unless you're
image.
blocked.
Yeah.
Yeah, some people.
Outsource it to a different page, and then I can still see it. You know?
You got a burner account. Come on.
Absolutely. Well, no, because that's the thing. I think Williams were good because they just livery out straight away, chat with the drivers, nice concise little thing. Boom, easy.
Yeah,
Any sponsors,
They talked a bit about the golf partnership and what they're doing with that. They talked to the drivers. And they got to the point of the stuff we wanted to know. Whereas I think a lot of people, like for example, the Red Bull, there was like a lot of people felt super disconnected because it was a huge production because they were building up to something quite big, and at the same time probably lost the attention of a lot of people because they're like, I'm here for F1, not particularly to hear about your athletes and stuff like that.
About this man who does snowboarding talking to me about the car.
Yeah.
I was into that.
I rate it, to be honest with you. I like it. It was, but I hear it. It was just a long time.
It was different. It was it was just like we're impatient. So
I have no attention span.
I have ADHD.
Unfortunately,
It's crippling.
Sure, I think I no, yeah. I don't know, it's
I just realised we haven't actually talked about the livery either. Alfa Romeo.
Alfa Romeo. Yeah,
Banger.
It's hot.
I like it. I love it. I saw a couple of people complaining because it's like a little bit too basic. And the white, and
No such thing.
I did like the white and red sort of vibe Alfa Romeo of the last two seasons a lot. This is just, it's like a little Ferrari light. Get me? Red and black.
Ferrari Zero.
Ferrari Zero, it is. Actually, it's zero.
It's beautiful.
I liked it.
I love it.
I'm into it.
Again, it's an advertising board, and when you've got a lot of sponsors, especially when you've got a lot of sponsors, you have to chill out with the base design. You have to pull it back, because if you've got a really busy design and then loads of sponsor logos on it as well, it all just gets lost. You're not going to be able to like discern it. That's why Williams, I think, can get away with having a bit more of a fiddly, complicated design, and Haas as well, because they don't have a ton of sponsors. I think when these teams get to a stage where they all have a lot of sponsors, I think all of the liveries will become
They'll clean up quite a bit.
Yeah, because they have to, because you lose legibility. You've seen these cars go past, like, it's important.
What would you rate the Alfa Romeo? Both of you?
Oh, at least a 9.
At least a 9.
Yeah, man. Like, obviously, I haven't seen it on the real car. So the renders did look like, I don't know if you can, because we've talked a bit in the past about Red Bull clones and this assumption that most teams are going to go in that direction, and the side pods did look
The little Scoopy boys on the front, the underhanging bit.
Scoopy.
Little Scoopy boys.
Yeah.
That's technical.
Yeah, that's the technical.
I shouldn't have said that out loud,
Technical
actually.
lingo.
I'm going to get NDA'd now.
But what do you think the cars are all going to go in that direction? Because I think shakedown is like in a week, isn't it?
Yeah.
A lot of these cars.
A lot of them they'll get a bit of a filming day to go out and the 100 kilometers, do a filming day on demo tires. And there'll be a good opportunity to check the car on the track for the first time. But it's really hard to say what people are going to do in terms of philosophy, because year one of the new regs, I don't see anybody copying the zero pods in the short term, but maybe during the long term, there's something actually genuine, which is an advantage, which is not yet locked in for years, but it could be soon. But will we find people copying the Red Bull? Probably.
Yeah.
But it was the same thing that we've seen in the past when you had the green edition Red Bull showing up. It wasn't
Green edition.
It wasn't necessarily quick.
No. It's one thing copying, it's another thing understanding, I guess, right?
Yeah.
And everything connects. Like the aero of the front wing affects the side pods, which affects the rear wing.
You can't
It
just
all
go,
works
oh
together.
yeah, let me just nab Red Bull's front wing. Because it will
No, exactly.
Completely.
And then on top of the stuff that you see, there's the stuff that you don't see, like how all those things are interacting, like you talked about, and then how they're setting up the car and the suspension and everything else, which there's only a handful of scenarios and options and philosophies you can have now, but that all depends on everything tied in together and everything being conscious together. And that's one of the reasons that we saw Mercedes having such a tough time last year, because they built this whole car around this concept and philosophy.
Yeah.
And it was not particularly slippery, so it was kind of slow. And they had porpoising, then put it into a window where it didn't operate well. And because they'd put all their eggs in the basket of it operating here, it operated very poorly in that new place.
Because I know I've seen on your streams talking about that operating window. And for some teams, it's bigger than others. So it felt like Mercedes last year, they just had this little window that when they nailed it, they could win a race. They could challenge at the front. Lewis could get 5 podiums in a row. Like they could be up there, but that window was so small that if those conditions weren't optimal, then nowhere.
Then exactly. You rock up from the summer break. We're at Belgium, and we're like, oh no, sorry, Mercedes fans. Then you go to high downforce circuits, Zandvoort, Budapest, and even at the end of the season, Mexico and Abu Dhabi to some extent were higher downforce circuits, and they went quite well. But if you go back to look at the Monzas and look at the Bakus and everything else, it's like,
well, we should be seeing. Aston Martin have said they will be showing off their actual car, which comes on Monday.